try a hot drop. Let's just go for it and go for gold. If we do lose it, we're going to be in the same position we were already in, which is going to the survival stage. So I do respect the gusto, but I do also think, again, there are other ways that RA could have gone about game number 3 than they just currently did. But they chose how their path was going to, or how they were going to travel down their path, and it is what it is. On the bike we go for Alter Egos. Rosemary, again on your screen, they're coming off the back of a second place finish, map 2 with 15 eliminations. But I have to say Rosemary is a much better shooter than he is a bike rider.
Yeah, needs to get a grip of those handlebars, mate. It's not, that's not how you do that.
Not at all.
The walls are the things you avoid.
Do you ever rode a unicycle?
Have I ever rode a unicycle?
Yeah.
I've tried.
Have you actually? I never have.
Yeah.
Nice to hear you say that. You're adventurous.
I have tried.
Okay. You fall?
And that's all I'll say about that.
I want the video.
Well,
I want the receipts.
That's actually, you have to pay extra for that.
Okay.
That's not part of the usual day rate.
Fair enough. Well, hey, let me know what the price is. Alpha 7, Gamex have already started rotating on the northern end of the zone, and I wonder if that's intentional, at least for Alpha 7, to kind of gatekeep Gamex again. Gamex, hate to continue to say it, but they want to try and take them down maybe potentially as quickly as possible. See them, and they did actually take them down in game number 2 very early on, so maybe seeing a repeat on that. As far as the center goes, we look at Nogshim Red Force, who's going to be dead center, right? Still trying to fill out the zones. They've got Falcons around them, power, it's starting to get contested, but that's kind of what we expect. This zone isn't as diabolical as the last zone was, but it's relatively similar, so we're probably going to see a lot of the same rotations.
Teams starting to move in around those Yaz fields now. Taking up residence there, looks like, again, AXTMG in a fairly strong compound on the west side of those Yaz fields. But there's a history of mismanagement in that roster, and I'm starting to lose faith that they're able to pull that off. So I wonder who's going to take that from them. That would be the question on my mind. Alter Ego starting to stretch their legs to head a little bit further north right now, and mixed in with Nongshim Red Force and Power. They're trying to move in over that mansion area, over towards the Yaz fields as well. They'll try and find their slice.
Lana hanging out on the outside still. You said trying to find a slice. Where's it at? Where do they stop? Well, I don't think they know just yet. Maybe circling Power is just keeping that pressure on. They'll take a little bit of damage, but for Easy, is Easy isolated? I think he might very well be. The rest of the Power roster seems to be off in the distance. I don't expect anybody to crash in on him. Yeah, so Power is going to be roaming. Easy keeping that compound, maybe try to keep it in check, maybe keep a presence there so nobody pushes into him. I do notice, though, Falcons is getting dangerously close.
Yeah, they will try, I'm sure. I'll try their luck. Power on the God compound overlooking that mansion area. And over on the east, they're going to be difficult to displace there. May have a team rock up and play neighbor on that north side of the ridge, but we'll have to wait and see. Ida as well now, a late entry towards the circle. They dropped down towards Military Island earlier on in this match. They were split on the west side. They got off of the Military Island earlier than APG did. And Weibo Gaming currently not challenging from Primorsk. They are a little bit behind that rotational speed.
Mormon, good shots on a silence up ahead, but not enough. He has to go down, unfortunately, as he does get shot in the back. But again, just trying to say, look, this is our spot. You need to go somewhere else. See Arena coming into the vicinity as well. For Ida, I think they're going to make this handshake agreement with Weibo, maybe disengage. Actually, Weibo, let me pause that. Western Bridge starting to see some activity, I think. APG decides to move across it, and Weibo might be tempting to gatekeep them depending on how they go. I know they're in the vehicles, but APG being behind them, I'm curious once they do get to Pochinki, what Weibo decides to do with APG.
May just be able to extricate themselves. I mean, they are about 400, 500 meters apart from one another, so not necessarily going to come into contact just yet. Alpha 7, fairly split right now. They sent Revo in to have a look, get his nose, and poke it into some business. Right now, down towards the south side, towards Kinotrope, towards Power. APG going for the regroup. This is out in the blue zone, so they are starting to tick down, but it is stage 1. They can chill out a little bit. They should have plenty of meds. Obviously, looting up in the military base. You're going to have basically as much as you want in your backpack. You can see the level 3s across the board for Doc. They will have whatever they so desire.
But keeping my eye out on Nogstrom Red Force. They've got this 2-2 split still, and Falcons has been right in between them for the longest time. For a moment, I thought they were right on top of each other. Very, very close. Doc starts to move in with his teammate. There's Weibo finally starting to make their way over towards School. APG still behind. I think that fight is going to unfold. I'm still feeling it. Weibo, APG, obviously time will tell how that ends up unfolding. And then Alter Egos and Alpha 7 could be a fun fight to see. And then ThunderTalk moving in, who's going to be opposite of Kinotrope. They've got history. ThunderTalk, Kinotrope, Alter Egos, all within that same area. That right side of the map is super scary.
There's a lot of open ground. This is a Yaz field circle here. It's just so open out there. The Falcons have managed to make their way up to the compound to the south of AXTMG. They should be fairly safe. Teams are going to have to divert around them. It's going to be very difficult to crash into these areas now as teams have found their footing in the zone. Down towards that southwest side, Weibo have managed to pull up just behind Ida on that southwest edge. They can chill out, but as you say, it is Alpha Gaming who are still yet to push in from that southwest side. The east edge is where I'm now looking. ThunderTalk and Alter Ego, both are still yet to come in on this next circle.
That's right. Still hanging out on the edge. A little bit of time to do so. The longer they wait, the more established teams get and hold up in their hardcover POIs. It will develop over time. For now, everything is okay. Obviously, we lost R8 a little bit earlier. Alter Egos did lose one a second ago, but at least for the time being, they're going to be okay. So APG does start to get close, and Suk is going to be kind of isolated out there with his own vehicle as APG starts to close in. Team Falcons start to fire a couple shots off in the distance, and we now start to see what Alpha 7's going to be up to. And yeah, ThunderTalk are moving in. Revo set the trap, and here come the shots.
ThunderTalk rolling on in, and Revo immediately clipped off the eaves of the roof. And it is going to be a 1-for-1 trade. King looks a little bit more resable, though, as Revo's going to have to try and drop down towards Carrillo if he wants this res. But the rest of ThunderTalk not going to sidle in. Okay, so goes down as well. Ooh, that is nasty. As A shot into the top floor, but Carrillo falls as well. AJ perfect with the nade, and now just one of Alpha 7 remains. It's Squash. He's pushing on the upstairs, but sees the fire, licking at his ankles, and they've given them the old topsy-turvy turnaround. AJ's back with his team.
Now Squash is a slayer, and he's been known to clutch up, but in this moment, is it too tall of a task? Well, it's up to him to decide. Jumps out, takes a bit of damage. If he can pop this medi, he should be at least a little bit better off than he was before. ThunderTalk can get overly aggressive, and if they do, Squash can capitalize off it. Let's not forget King is still relatively weak. Squash down low. ThunderTalk hasn't pushed up just yet. And honestly, I'm a fan of that. I'm glad they didn't get over aggressive. I think most teams would have. ThunderTalk realized, look, we've got the rest of the Alpha 7 roster down. Why do we want to expose ourselves to 4 individual 1v1v1v1s? Let's walk in together. Let's play our numbers. Let's take down Squash in a good controlled fashion.
No more first aids for Squash either. Just those stims. He's got 10 bandages. Could potentially heal a little bit, but he's just keeping that shotgun trained on the exits here for ThunderTalk, and they step into the meat grinder. 2 go down. He turns his attention right. He's moving out wide. He still doesn't have the meds, but he gets the reload, and that's 2 of ThunderTalk down now as Squash hops in for more. King just able to find the angle in the last second there. It looked hairy, and it was for ThunderTalk. There could potentially be a third party, but they'll survive as 4 for now.
Yep, great work for ThunderTalk, but almost a heroic effort from Squash, a man who's been known to clutch up. And speaking of clutching, Rosemary has now entered the fight. Alter Egos Ares is starting to move up, but they're doing it in a controlled fashion, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to fire those shots at the second window of Xing, who's up ahead for ThunderTalk. The rest of his team starting to come through. This isn't going to be an easy fight, but the good news to them, maybe unbeknownst, is, well, ThunderTalk is still recovering in a way. Yes, they've got their health, but now they don't have their wealth. They only have 3 men to work with, and it's all because of Arthur as well as Rosemary up ahead.
That is exactly what they needed to find there for Alter Ego. They didn't want to commit with the blue zone pushing in. This circle was just going to be too much of a threat to them. But now they're trying to roll forwards, and I wonder if they've taken too much time to deal with ThunderTalk here, and Gamax have extended their influence from the south side of Yasnaya Polyana. Losing 2, well, they lost 1 earlier in this match to Nongshim Red Force. So losing another leaves just 2 players alive. Rosemary and Moana Let's see what they can get done. They have, of course, I believe, if that flush comes through against ThunderTalk, that would be their 100th point, but they haven't managed to earn it just yet.
Not just yet, but you know what? They're getting close. We just saw Power take down a member from Intense Game who is very, very low on the standings, coming from the Americas region. Actually, the first place team from the Americas region trying to break into top 8. I don't know if it's going to happen. They've got a lot of work ahead of them, and they're going to have to do it with just 3 men. ThunderTalk rolling past GAMX. Now, GAMX is a team that has been known to just kind of pump the brakes, not lay on the trigger, and it looks like they're doing exactly the same here, or maybe setting the trap. You do got a GAMX member who's going to be up ahead, but the question is, will they finally attack? One of the things about them is they like to sit on their hands a little bit too long.
See AJ just waiting there, waiting for the rest of the team to come back in towards him, for King to regroup, then they'll go for the next push. But across the Yaz fields, it is so barren, it is so open. There's a couple of options, but they're not going to have to take them. They're going to have to head instead out to the west side. Now we're turning our attention to the teams out there, and on the east end of Rozhok, you've got Ida, who have a hold there. eArena now pushing down towards that south edge, could potentially be looking to crash towards the Falcons' position, and in fact, they have managed to take the lower part of the compound away from the Falcons.
This could be one of the biggest fights we have seen yet in Game 3. Securing these compounds dead center of zone could very well be the difference between losing or winning, and I've got to be on the side of winning. I think this location specifically so critical for eArena and Falcons. They understand that. I don't expect them, though, to crash in just full send. I don't. I think they're going to stay here as long as they can, maybe wait for one to make a mistake. The teams on the outskirts is what's going to truly be interesting. HORAA being one of them, moving past Kinetrup, maybe going straight into APG. They're going to stay in this little divot, however, but they do got a lot of company surrounding them.
Yeah, it's one of the few locations that you can really play here. Unfortunately, they've got neighbors, and the nades just tumble on in from Kinetrup, and HORAA suffering heavily. And you know what? I'm going to bring it back up. You predicted them
at
the start of this match. You predicted them right at the start of this game, and now look where they are, in a ditch with nades on their head.
They're still alive, okay? They're still alive, and they're still putting up a fight, but maybe not for long. Kinetrup stayed in the grass, stayed in the weeds for the longest time, and allowed HORAA to push straight by them, and then they spring the attack. It's quite literally the perfect scenario, and you got to think Kinetrup was waiting on a team to take that divot, take this piece of real estate, so they can turn it into a mini red zone and just throw as many nades as possible. And well, sadly for HORAA, this might be it, and it will officially be. They're the second team, or excuse me, the third team that has been eliminated. But now we shift our attention to ThunderTalk versus Kinetrup.
Doing a lot of damage to that hovercraft there, and they will actually be able to take it down here for ThunderTalk. Getting rid of Kinetrop's hovercraft may allow them to move forwards. That's what they're going to look for here. They're playing as 3. They lost one on the rotation, but they're up to 6 elims now, and they want to try and chase towards that 63-point boundary, which would look you healthy moving into the next matches.
Side note, Alter Egos have taken a long rotate through blue, maybe going behind that of GAMX. We do hop on board with them as GAMX is going to try and gatekeep. They're going to fire some shots. Alter Egos have had a tough game, and with Moana dropping in blue and Arthur firing some shots, fortunately, he's going to be finished off, and now it's left up to Rosemary, a solo fighting against the entirety of the world. There's so many players still left. You have to think Rosemary has not much time left in Game 3.
He's going straight towards Nongshim. He's dead. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. How do you not connect that?
Oh, and he gets a crate too.
I would have been dead on if they weren't terrible at spraying that car down. I'm angry at Nongshim Red Force now.
Fair enough. Well, hey,
they're my enemy.
It's okay to be wrong. Okay, it's okay to be wrong. You were what, 3 seconds off?
Wrong Shim Ned Force. Red Force.
Okay. Well, Rosemary's still up. Bunchmaster himself. Zone shift taking place relatively shortly. We know for a fact eArena Falcons are going to be just fine where they currently are, dead center of the zone. They're still going to be within the next zone. Absolutely. There they are. They might have to rotate probably maybe next zone, but for now, they're doing just fine. For everybody else, well, you got a couple of teams. GAMX, who has been doing quite well this game. I got to give them credit. Ida, but Power, IG, AXTMG up on the top on the north side. It's going to be quite contested up there, and still you've got Kinetrup, you've got ThunderTalk and APG all within that eastern side of the zone, still waiting for this fight to conclude. ThunderTalk can't really make a move. Kinetrup has to kind of stay low, And Ida, surely not. Are they rotating into Gamex and maybe even behind Nox from Red Force?
I think that may be the approach. I mean, it's difficult to go past Weibo, potentially looking to push in on across the road. Okay, they may be going to that ditch that Rosemary was trying to play around, I believe. Or was it the other crate? Not entirely sure. Either way, yeah, they're just going to try and insert north of Gamex, so they're not wrapping behind them. They are just looking to try and get across the road here. This standoff on the south side of the Yas Fields continues between ThunderTalk and Kinotrope. There's 3 players alive for ThunderTalk, all 4 players alive for Kinotrope. It looks like they might be dry on nades, otherwise I imagine we'd be seeing some lime green art. Mint green? Not sure.
Mint green. I like mint green. I would say that's relatively close. Kinotrope, keep your head on a swivel, man, because I'm seeing some cars revving up. I'm thinking a push might be happening. They want to get this fight done and dusted and take them out. And the car does full send it in, it seems like, right? ThunderTalk, actually, hang on back. I thought I saw a car going straight in, but we don't. So for ThunderTalk, still okay. I want to see 2. There's the third king off in the background. He wanted a vehicle.
Okay. He's just grabbing that back into control, making sure they have a multi-pronged attack if they want to go for this one, because it is a 3v4 crash. Not too much assistance going to be delivered from off angles here. Maybe a chime in from AXTMG if Kinotrope don't keep their heads down, or if ThunderTalk get a little bit too bold. The nade's opening up. Imagine the players are going to try and follow this one in. They'll know now that they're playing towards the back. Another bouncer, that's a stun over towards the back lines there. And that's why you can't stand up too much. That comes from across the way. That is AXTMG.
Push is finally in. AJ surpasses the hill, gets taken down immediately. Kinotrope knows the push was coming through the smoke. They were ready for it. And they capitalize. AJ could still get back up, surprisingly, but Sitting wants to push in. He really does, and he's been hinting at the pokey push.